All right, hello math fans. I'm just going to go over the review sheet. So hopefully you've done this already, and you're just going to check your answers. And this is an excellent review for the test. All right, so it's got everything from multiplying exponents, dividing exponents, exponents with a negative power, exponents with zero power, numbers with exponents, and scientific notation. Okay, that's including standard to scientific, scientific to standard, multiplying, dividing, and some applications. Okay, so let's begin. I'll just write key here. All right. Remember, guys, don't multiply the threes together. This is just like saying x squared times x to the fourth. So instead of x squared x to the fourth, you're going to say 3 squared 3 to the fourth. So it's 3 to the sixth, right? You add the exponents. So you keep that base the same. And then please do not leave it as 3 to the sixth. That's wrong. I need to see it as 729. You're going to put that in your calculator. All right. Next problem. Remember, there's really a 1 there. So remember, we add the exponents. So it's n cubed. Okay, this one, add the exponents. So we get y to the 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 2 is 10. Okay, remember we add the exponents for the a's and add the exponents for the b's. So we get a to the 7th, b to the 7th. Okay, number 5. Remember, you multiply the 3 and the 9 together. Okay, there's no exponents there. So 3 times 9 is 27. X to the 3rd times x to the 6th is x to the 9th. Y, remember that's y to the 1st. So it's y to the 5th times y to the 1st is y to the 6th. And then z to the 9th. All right. The next one, remember we battle. Okay, so you have x squared over x. And who wins with the x's? So let's just draw our line here. The north wins by 1, so it's x. And who wins with the y's? The north wins by 2, so it's y squared. So since there's nothing on the bottom, we could put a 1, but then you'd have to simplify it anyway, and the answer is just xy squared. All right, you have 4 to the 3rd over 4. And remember, that's 4 to the 1st power. That's a battle between the 4's. Just like saying x cubed over x, or x to the 1st. That's x squared. All right, so it's the same thing. So you're going to have 4 squared, and you have a battle of the a's, and the south wins. Remember, that's a 1 here. South wins by 3, and then a battle of the b's. The north wins by 2. And the last step here is you have to simplify that 4 squared. So you have 16 b squared over a cubed. All right, this one, the only thing you need to do, I'm going to put it into a fraction. The only thing that's touching that negative 4 exponent is the a. So that's the only thing that goes to the other side of the fraction. Everything else stays where it's at, and that's your answer. Okay, 8b over a to the 4th. Okay, same thing with this one. It's 6 to the negative 3rd. Please don't make it negative. It's not a negative number. It's just 1 over 6 cubed. And in your calculator, you're going to type in 6 cubed, which is 216. So it's going to be 1 over 216. All right. Okay, number 10. Okay, it's going to be 5c to the negative 3. Remember, the only thing touching that negative exponent is the c. So it's going to be 5 over c cubed. Okay, the next one is 185 to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is 1. That's the answer. Okay, this is negative 6 to the 3rd over negative 6 squared. So it's a battle between the negative 6's. Who wins? The north wins by 1. So it's negative 6 to the 1st power, or negative 6. Okay, same thing with the negative 5's. It's negative 5 to the 3rd over negative 5 to the negative 6th. Remember, the spies go home. So that's going to go to the other side of the fraction, and I have negative 5 to the 9th. Now, if you did it mathematically, you would do 3 minus a negative 6, which is 9. and that's the same thing. You get negative 5 to the 9th. Put that in your calculator. Don't forget the parentheses. All right, and you're going to get negative 1,953,125. All right, big number. That's what it is. Okay, number 14. I do battle between the y's. Who wins? The south by 2. So the answer is 1 over y squared. Okay, 15. Send the spies home first before you do battle. So I have a to the 4th on top, and on the bottom I have a to the 3rd. And right, this b to the negative 4th goes to the bottom, so I really have b to the 11th because the 7 is positive. And then the last step is you do battle, and the north wins by 1 with the a's, so it's a over b to the 11th. Okay. Okay, number 16. Send the spies home before I do battle. Though I can do battle with the x's, the north wins by 1. Okay, the spy goes home, so you really have y to the 7th on the bottom. And the spy goes home with the z's, that means you have z to the 8th on the bottom. So that's your answer, x over y to the 7th, z to the 8th. Okay, this is going to be 2, remember it's 3 times 3, so it's 2 to the 9th power, and if you put that in your calculator, 512. Okay, this is saying 7 to the 2nd power, x to the 5th to the 2nd power. So again, don't leave any exponents, and you're just going to have 49x to the 10th power. Okay, again, this one is going to be 2 to the 3rd power, x to the 4th cubed, and y to the 3rd cubed. So 2 cubed is 8, x to the 12th, y to the 9th. Okay, the next one, distribute those exponents on the outside first before I do anything. So it's going to be 2 to the 4th power times x squared 4th power times z to the 4th power times negative 3 squared times x squared squared times z cubed squared. And notice I distributed that exponent to every term inside the parentheses. Okay, so let's simplify it. 2 to the 4th is 16. That's x to the 8th. Z to the 4th. Negative 3 cubed is 9. X to the 4th. Z to the 6th. And then you simplify it together. So 16 times 9 is 144. X to the 8th times x to the 4th is x to the 12th. And z to the 4th times z to the 6th is z to the 10th. And that's your answer. Okay, the next one, remember the rule. If it's a negative exponent on the other side, flip around. So it's a cubed over b to the 4th to the positive 3. And then you just cube each one of those. So a cubed cubed is a to the 9th. B to the 4th cubed is b to the 12th. And that's all you can do because a and b are not like terms, not the same letter, and can't combine them. All right, 22. You trying to simplify inside the parentheses, you can't. So I'm just going to say it's 2 cubed, m cubed cubed, n cubed over p squared cubed. So we get 8 m to the 9th, n to the 3rd over p to the 6th. Okay, this one I'm going to simplify a little bit. I can battle the x's. If you can, remember, always try to simplify. So negative 4, the north wins by 1. So y to the 3rd and 3w squared. And that's the 2nd power. And then I square everything. So it's negative 4 squared, x squared, y cubed squared over 3 squared, w squared squared. So we get 16 x squared y to the 6th over 9 w to the 4th. Okay, and that's your answer. There's nothing you can do. Okay, this next one, that negative 5 flips everything around. So I have w to the 4th, because right, I can't simplify inside the parentheses. W over 4th over x squared y cubed z to the 5th. That's the positive 5 now. And then I raise everything to the 5th power. So w to the 20th over x to the 10th, y to the 15th, z to the 25th. All right. Next one. Remember that negative is not raised to the 4th power. So if I kind of would break this up, it's like saying negative 1 times a. That's what this guy is right here. And then this guy here is another negative 1 times a to the 4th. That's really what you have. So negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. A to the 1st times a to the 4th is a to the 5th. Okay, this one, 2 times 3 is 6. X to the 4th times x to the 5th is x to the 9th. Same thing with this one, 4 times 3 is 12. S cubed times s squared is s to the 5th. T to the 5th, t to the 6th is t to the 11th. Okay. This one looks a little more complicated, but it's really not that bad. It's just multiplying 3 things together. There's no exponent on the outside, so it's just negative 3 times 4 times negative 2. And that gives you 96. Actually, there's a little bit here, right? This is really the only thing I got to worry about. And that's negative 2 cubed, which is actually not negative 2 times negative 2. It's really 2 times 2 times 2, and then negative of that. So this part, that's negative 8. So really what I have is negative 3 times 4 is negative 12 times negative 8 is positive 96. And then let's just put the exponents together here. X squared times x to the 1st is x to the 3rd. Y to the 1st times y to the 3rd is y to the 4th. Z to the 4th times z to the 7th is z to the 11th. And that's your answer. Okay, this next one, just battle. The x's win. The north wins by 5, and the south and the y's, the north wins by 2. Okay, this one. It's 2 over 4, which is 1/2. The x's, the north wins by 4. With the y's, the y wins by 6. And the z's, the bottom or the south wins by 3. That's your answer. You usually don't put that 1 there. You just say that. Okay, this next one. Remember, just the top is parentheses. So it's 4 squared is 16, a to the 10th, over 32a to the 16th. Guys, remember, you cannot simplify that top and the bottom when that top has got a big parenthesis around it. Okay? Now you can simplify it, though. That's a 1 and a 2. And if you do battle, the south wins by 6. So it's 1 over 2a to the 6th. Okay, this one is just battle here. The 4's on the bottom. The north wins with the a's by 5. B, the north wins by 3. So a to the 5th, b cubed over 4. Okay, this one's a little tricky. It's not really a battle because this one's negative 3 to the 9th, and this is not negative 3 to the 6th. It's 3 to the 6th and the negative of it. That's why it's a little tricky. Okay. So you can't, let's see, probably the best way to go about doing this one is actually figuring out that on your calculator. The answer is going to be for the, well, let's see, the top, because really it's going to still be a 3 to the 9th, and the bottom is still going to be really a 3 to the 6th. You just have to realize that that's going to be a negative value because it's an odd number. So it's really negative 3, and that's to the 9th power. So I'm just going to do the 3. Now on the bottom, it's just 3 to the 6th, and then the negative of that. So really I'm doing battle between the 3's. The negatives actually cancel, and 3 to the 9th over 3 to the 6th is 3 to the 3rd, right? This north wins by 3, and so my answer is 27. All right. Number 34, negative exponents. I would draw a line underneath there, move them to the bottom of the fraction. So on the bottom, here's the fraction. You get 5 squared on the bottom. X stays on top. Y to the 3rd goes in the bottom, and Z to the 5th goes on top. Okay, and remember, no numbers with exponents, so it's X, Z to the 5th over 25Y cubed. Okay. The next one is distribute that negative, or distribute the squared. So negative 3 squared, a cubed squared, b to the 5th squared, c squared squared. So you get 9 times a to the 6th times b to the 10th times c to the 4th. And that's your answer. Just without those dots in it. 9, a to the 6th, b to the 10th, c to the 4th. Okay, this one, basically you're having a battle. The negatives are going to cancel out here because they're not in parentheses. It's just a negative in front of there. And then it's a battle between the 2's. So the south wins by 1. So the answer is 1/2. Okay, this next one, just multiply straight across here. And we're going to have negative 5 times negative 3, which is 15. X squared times x to the 11th is x to the 13th. Y to the first times y to the negative 3rd, you subtract, so you get y to the negative 2. And then we move the spies home. So 15x cubed, or sorry, x to the 13th over y to the 2nd. Okay, let's do number 38. You need to realize that the 6xy squared, that's the negative 2 power. So that goes to the other side of the fraction. So it's 1 over 6xy squared to the positive 2 times 4xy to the 5th. Okay? And that's going to be 1 over 36 x squared y to the 4th and times 4xy to the 5th. So basically that's over 1, right, when you multiply that out. So it's going to be the 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 36 9 times. And that, so I always cross cancel your numbers, and then what you have is xy to the 5th over 9x squared y to the 4th. And I do battle of the x's, and the south wins by 1. I do battle the y's, the north wins by 1, and that's my answer. Y over 9x. Okay. A couple more of these problems. I'm going to do these problems. I'm going to simplify that negative 2 over 12. Remember that negative 2 is not an exponent. It's negative 2 over 12, which is negative 1/6. So negative 1/6. And then the spies go home. So that's x to the 14th, because the negative 3 goes to the top. 11 plus 3 is 14. And then the z spy goes home, and then you really have 12 on the bottom. And usually you don't write you just write negative. So it's negative x to the 14th over 6z to the 12th. Okay, next problem here, 2x to the 0. Please don't tell me that's 1. The x is the only thing you're touching that negative or that exponent, so it's 2 times 1 equals 2. Now here it's all touching it, so the answer is 1. Okay. The next one says write using standard notation. So in this case here, you're going to move the decimal point over 4 places. So 6, 5, 2. So over 1, 2, 3, 4. So your answer is 65,200. Okay, 5 times 10 to the negative 3. Remember, it's a negative exponent. It's a small number, like less than 1. Okay, so you're going to move that over it starts out here, you move over 1, 2, 3. So it's 0.005. Okay? That negative exponent doesn't mean that's how many decimal or how many zeros it is. It's how many decimal places it was moved over. Okay, here I'm moving it over 5 decimal places. So 0.1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 6, 0, 3. So think about it. It used to be here, and then moved over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places. That's why it's the negative fifth. Okay. Number 45, write using scientific notation. How many places? Remember that decimal has to be after the first non-zero digit. So 3.423 times 10. How many places did it move over? 0. That's scientific notation, guys. All right, and remember what 10 to the 0 is. That's equal to 1. So 3.423 times 1 is 3.423, which gives us our original answer. Okay, so this one, it's a small number, which means it's going to be a negative exponent. So you move it over 1, 2, 3. So 5.83 times 10 to the negative 3. Okay, this one, you got to move it over 6 places. It's going to be 2.857 times 10 to the 6th. Okay, now we're going to actually start multiplying some of these guys together. Remember what I told you guys to do is multiply the 2.1 and the 6. So 2.1 times 6 is 12.6. And you add the exponents. So 10 to the 5th times 10 to the 7th is 10 to the 12th. And then I got to move that over. 1.26. So if I move that over, I have to compensate by, if I making the number smaller, compensate by making the exponent bigger. So 1.26 times 10 to the 13th power. Okay, so here we multiply this one. This is 7 times 8 is 56 times 10. And remember, you add these together. So negative 3 plus a negative 11 is negative 14. Then you move this over 1 decimal place, so it's 5.6 times 10 to the negative. We're making it smaller, so you got to make the exponent bigger. That means it's a big negative number, so you're adding to it, and you're making that making it less negative. So times 10 to the 13th, negative 13th power. Okay, so we do 2.7 divided by 3, right? We do the division of that guy first, and that gives us 0.9. And then you subtract. So 8 minus 6 is 2, so times 10 to the 2nd power. So you need to move that over, so it's 9 times, and I made that number bigger, so I compensate by making that number smaller. Okay. All right, and let's do this one. 5.2 divided by 1.3. That's going to be exactly 4. And then it's negative 4 minus a negative 2. So it's plus. So it's negative 4 plus 2 is times 10 to the negative 2. And that's the answer to that problem. Okay. All right, so let's do a couple applications, and then we'll be done. All right, so consider a person who blinks 20,000 times per day. Estimate the number of times this person blinks during a period of 2 years. Write your answer in scientific notation. All right, so this is a deal. Are we multiplying or are we dividing? Okay, well, if a person blinks 20,000 times per day, and they're doing it for 2 years, you multiply it by the number of days. So remember, this is 20,000 times per day. And how many times do they blink in 2 years? Well, aren't there 365 days per year? So that cancels those units out. So we really have 20,000 times 365 per year, and then it's times 2 years. and then years cancel out. So the only thing you have left is times, which is exactly what we're looking for. Estimate the number of times. So if I multiply that out all in my calculator, I get 14,600,000. So 14,600,000. And if I want to put it in scientific notation, it's 1.46 times 10 to the, well, I move over 3, 6, 7. And it says estimated number of times, so it's units are times. Okay. Last problem here. California has an approximate area of 1.56 times 10 to the 5th square miles. It has a population of 2.98 times 10 to the 7th. How many people are there per square mile? So people per square mile. So how many people are there? Now it's 2.98 times 10 to the 7th. And per square mile, so 1.56 times 10 to the 5th power. So 2.98 divided by 1.56 is 1.91 times 10, and then it's 7 minus 5 is 2. So it's, and they ask you for an answer in standard notation. That means you got to move it down, move it back to regular notation here. So you move it over 2 places, so it's 191. It's people per square mile. Okay. Anyway, that's it, math fans. Hope you did pretty well in this review sheet, or if you didn't, hopefully you'll learn kind of what to do. All right. Adios. Goodbye.